If I've ever come close to dying, it was from this one time I didn't get bit. And I want to tell you about it. And it's not what you think. It is not what you think. Welcome to another episode of the Snakes Are Us TV podcast, presented by Southeastern Reptile Rescue and its founder and director, me, Jason Clark.
Are you ready?
This is Jason Clark with Snakes Are Us TV podcast. Here we are for episode 3. We made it all the way to episode 3. A few things I want to talk about tonight. And there was some stuff in the news as far as reptiles go here lately. And there's something, somebody got bit by a snake. Somebody got bit by a snake. And people get bit by snakes all the time. But this one snake bite I want to talk about was actually a pretty significant bite. So we're not going to talk a lot about that, but I do want to talk about bites. So if you have been bitten by a snake, put it in the chat, and I want to talk about it. I'm going to tell you some of the bites that I've had, and I'm going to tell you tonight the worst bite I've ever had, a bite that I thought I was going to die. If I've ever come close to dying, it was from this one time I didn't get bit. And I want to tell you about it. And it's not what you think. It is not what you think. You know, it's always what you don't expect to kill you is what will actually kill you. So there was a man recently who made the news who was bitten by an inland taipan, arguably probably the most venomous snake in the world, and he got bit by. I'm not going to go too much into it. I don't want to give publicity to that for some specific reasons. But if you go search it, you'll find the whole story and be able to see some videos, and it'll kind of blow your mind as this guy getting bit. So as far as I know, as of right now, he is still alive. Maybe he'll make it. Hopefully he does. But it just got me thinking about things that I've been bitten by, snakes and other critters too. And sometimes those other critters can almost be a little bit worse. So I'm still trying to figure out how to do this technology. You know, it's weird kind of running a podcast, being on air live. I'm recording this live. If you're listening to this later somewhere else, if you want to be part of the live, go to YouTube Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we actually come on here live. If you have a story of you getting bit, tell us what bit you, because I have a few stories. Now, first is my obvious story. I've told it a million times. I actually told this on episode 1. I'm not going to retell the story again, but it was my first snake bite. It was a non-venomous snake. It was actually from a garter snake. And I was 7 years old. I grabbed the snake, didn't know what kind of snake it was, but luckily my dad was home, and after I, dropped the snake into a barrel, I tell that story so many times about me dropping my first snake into a barrel, waiting on my dad to get to home to look in the barrel to tell me what kind of snake it is. A lot of people don't know that gray barrel right here, that's it. That's the actual barrel I got from my parents' backyard when I was 7 years old. I dropped my first snake in. So it's actually in here in my studio. But anyway, that was my first snake bite, a non-venomous snake. Now, when we talk about snakes being venomous versus non-venomous, some people will consider hognose snakes venomous, even though I don't consider them venomous because they're not medically significant to us. But a lot of snakes and even some lizards have toxins in their saliva that are specific to their prey. Ringneck snakes, for instance, have a Devorney's gland. It's a strip of tissue in their lip, basically, and it secretes a toxin that mixes with their saliva, and it helps to basically paralyze and subdue and maybe even kill some of their prey. But the ringneck snake is not dangerous to us and kids and pets and things, so we don't consider it to be a venomous snake because even if it bites us, not a big deal. Now, garter snakes, the first snake I ever got bit by was a garter snake. And garter snakes, if you get bit by one and it bites and lets go, not a big deal. But if the garter snake bites your hand and you allow it to hang on to you and just chew, and it gets the saliva like deep into your skin, you can have a reaction. My friend Kyle, Cottonmouth Kyle, all the way down the way across Georgia, Cottonmouth Kyle, he got bit by a garter snake, and it chewed on him pretty good. And he sent me pictures of his hand like red and swollen, and it gets kind of itchy. It's not really anything dangerous or bad, so we don't really consider them a venomous snake because it's not medically significant to us. So I want to tell you about a few of my bites. And if you have been bitten by something, tell me what animal bit you. If it's a snake, tell me how bad it was. So Elizabeth Weaver is in the chat. Thank you for joining us, Elizabeth. Hello. Now, so that was my first bite, was the garter snake. People often ask me, how many, they don't ask me if I've been bitten by a venomous snake. They want to know how many times have I been bitten by venomous snakes. Well, I started handling snakes when I was 7 years old, and I am 37. Okay, I'm older than that. I'm in my 40s. I ain't going to tell you how old. Anyway, I'm 46, okay? I've been handling snakes since I was 7. I'm 46 now, and I've never been bitten by a venomous snake, ever. I've never been envenomated, never been bitten by a venomous snake. And I hope to keep it that way. But I have had some close calls. And my close calls were always because I was in a hurry, cutting corners, not paying attention. And when those close calls happened, I made sure to take note and learn from it. One close call I had, I was actually at a party, and I get a call from someone who has caught a copperhead. It's actually on their front porch, and they're like, there's a copperhead here. Can you please come get it? It was actually only a couple miles away, so I left the party to go get the copperhead. I want to hurry back. When I get there, they have caught the copperhead and have it in like a fish aquarium on their front porch. So I don't have the proper tools with me. I get a pillowcase, and I'm holding the pillowcase like this. With my pinky up for some reason, and the copperhead goes to go in, and he comes up and gets really close to hitting my pinky finger. I mean, really close. And that was my stupidity. I didn't get bit, thank God. He didn't bite me, but it was way too close. So I learned, don't hold your pinky finger up when you're doing anything, okay? And to use the proper tools when I'm putting a snake into a pillowcase or have something to put it into. So another close call I had was from a snake that, if it had bit me, would have been much, much worse. It was a Mojave rattlesnake. If you don't know about Mojave rattlesnakes, that's a really bad. Rattlesnakes are bad to get bit by. A Mojave rattlesnake is really bad to get bit by. And someone, I had ended up with a Mojave rattlesnake, okay? I've got this Mojave, and it's in an enclosure, and we're having a typical Friday night. My mom and dad are here, and we're cleaning cages, like everybody does. And so we have an assembly line going of all these snake cages. So my job is I'm taking the snakes out of the enclosures, and then they're coming behind me cleaning the cages. And I get to the Mojave, and this whole thing was my mom's fault. She is to blame for every bit of it. She distracted me and started talking to me. When I turned back around, I wasn't thinking. I was just in a hurry. My mind was somewhere else. It was not on the snake. And there was like a little hide box in there. So I reached in with my hand and to pick up the hide box. And I sat it over here. And when I turned back around, I looked, and the Mojave rattlesnake was there. He was under the box. And I had put my thumb underneath it and lifted it up. Thankfully, the Mojave was facing the other way, away from my thumb. Such a stupid mistake that could have had life-altering effects on me if I survived it, okay? And so from that, my face went white. All the blood drained from my face, and I was terrified of what I just did, something so dumb. And so at that point, I came up with a rule. And I said, okay, every time you go to catch a snake, every time you go to open an enclosure, to do anything with any snake for the rest of your life, you're going to have this morbid talk with yourself inside your head really quick, but you're going to always do it the rest of your life without fail. Here's the talk I have in my head. It's pretty sick. But here's what I say. Jason, you're going to get killed by a snake, and the one that's going to kill you is this one, and it's going to happen today. So make sure it doesn't. And so when I say that to myself, and I know I'm putting myself on notice that this is a possibility. This is death right here. And if I'm not paying attention, if my mind is elsewhere, bad things can happen. And it helps me remember to pay attention. And so those are the close calls I've had. Now, my mom, I mentioned my mom, and it was her fault about the Mojave, but my mom has been bitten by a snake, a non-venomous snake. We were doing a show one day at a very popular sporting goods store, and we're in front of the big bass tank, and I'm on the floor, and I'm doing a venomous snake show. And before I get to the venomous snake portion, my mom's there. I said, "Hey, you come on up here. You can be my Vanna White. You know, you can hold the snakes and show the non-venomous ones." And she wasn't completely comfortable with snakes. Still isn't, but she's a lot better. And I hand her a rat snake. She's holding the rat snake. And everything goes fine. We get done with that one. She puts it away. Then I hand her the king snake. Now, if you don't know, king snakes eat a lot of things. One thing king snakes eat are rat snakes. The way they eat rat snakes and other snakes. They'll eat venomous snakes as well as non-venomous snakes. And the way they find these snakes to eat is by smell. And my mom has just finished holding snakes in her hands. And her hands, what do you think they smell like? So she's holding the snake in front of a live audience. And all of a sudden, the king snake just latches right onto her thumb and starts kind of swallowing the tip of her thumb like this. Now, she's a trooper. She turns around, puts her back to the audience, and whispers to me, "Jason, the snake is biting me. Jason, the snake is biting me." And I'm oh, this is so cool. And so I grab her arm, and I hold her arm up. The king snake is dangling. And I said, "Guys, this is a snake bite," because we're just talking about snake bites. And so we got to, and she's like, "No, get him off my thumb." I said, "Just a minute." And so we used it as a teaching moment. But we did get it off of her thumb. And so that was my mom's first snake bite, which was in front of a live audience. Another bite that I had that I didn't have, but I got to help out with, was I was driving through town one day, and I look up and I see a police chase coming at me. There's a truck coming toward me and 4 or 5 police cars right behind it, lights and sirens blazing. I said, "Man, there's a police chase." And it was a pest control truck, like with the big box on the back and all the stuff. And he turns down the street and the police cars go after him. And I'm thinking, man, out of all the vehicles to steal, how are you going to steal a pest control truck? And then I realized that's the way to the hospital. I wonder if that's the pest control guy who got bit and is going to the hospital, because I'm always thinking about snakes. So I drive to the hospital. Sure enough, guess what's there? The pest control truck and several police cars at the ER. So I go into the emergency room, and I just said, "I'm here to see the snake bite victim." And I figured out, if you go to a hospital and you pretend that you're supposed to be there, they think you are. So they'll just let you go wherever you want. So I went back. I introduced myself to this guy who's in the ER, and I start answering his questions about snake bite. And he had been bitten by a copperhead. He had pulled back some pine straw to look for a termite bait station, and it bit him right here on the inside of the wrist. And he got to tell me exactly how this feels. It is so extremely painful. And and that's from a copperhead. Copperheads, their venom is not nearly as bad as cottonmouths and rattlesnakes. So I got to walk through that with him. I did leave the hospital, and I went to where he was bitten. I did catch the copperhead and relocate it from that backyard. But from then I started to just go into hospitals all the time. Every time I'd hear about a bite, and I would go in and meet the bite victim, and I would try to ask them questions. Very important questions. First question is, how bad's that hurt? 10 seconds before you got bit, what were you doing? Something dumb? I bet it was something dumb. But because I want to know, if I get bit, I want to know not only what do I need to do, but what am I going to experience? That way, if I get bit, I know what's coming for the most part and can expect it, and I'm not going to freak out, hopefully. So I started really researching about snake bites a lot. I've seen a lot of them. Some of the bites I saw, one guy, when I had my TV series on Animal Planet, he had fallen out of a deer stand and broke his leg, was on crutches. And he's driving in his backyard, and he stops his truck, and he gets out and gets on his crutches. He doesn't know he's parked his truck tire on top of a copperhead. And he gets out. He wasn't good at sitting in a deer stand. He ain't even any better at walking on crutches. He falls off the crutches, lands on top of the copperhead. Luckily, his right leg has a cast on it. It couldn't bite through the cast, so it bit his left leg. So I got to go meet him in the hospital with his broken right leg and snake-bitten left leg. That was pretty interesting. Another call recently that came in with an individual who needed some help. He had gone into his backyard. It's a really sad story. Going into his backyard, and he had his dog out there, and he looks, and his dog is dead. At least it looks dead. So he goes over to his dog, is like, trying to figure out what's wrong with his dog. So he goes to roll the dog over. When he rolls the dog over, there's a rattlesnake under the dog that had bit and killed the dog. And the rattlesnake bites the dog owner. And so then he has to, on top of dealing with his dead dog, go to the emergency room and receive treatment for a rattlesnake bite. It's a pretty bad bite. He recovers, and several months go by, and he's again in his yard working on his lawnmower. And while he's down around the deck of his lawnmower, he gets bit a second time by another rattlesnake under his lawnmower. As you go back and look at all these bites, one thing I've kind of figured out is most of all these bites are preventable. If we're paying attention to what we're doing, watching where we put our hands and feet, not trying to kill or catch snakes, which is how most bites happen, then we can avoid these things. Now, in a minute, I'm going to tell you about the bite that almost killed me. If I've ever come close to dying, it was from getting bit by this one time. I'm going to tell you that story in a minute. Let's see what we got in the chat. Ms. Paranormal Guard, I don't know how to say that. Garner. What is the most memorable rescue that you have done? Man, the most memorable rescue. Oh, God. There's a bunch of those. The most memorable one? I don't know. You know what I was trying to do? I was trying to edit a video to get it up on YouTube before this podcast airs tonight, because I wanted to talk about it, because I'm not going to give it away, but the next video I'm almost finished editing it. Maybe I can get it out tomorrow on YouTube, but it involves a person getting bit by an exotic venomous snake, and then me having to go to the house and remove that venomous snake plus a bunch more. So that's going to be the next video I have coming out. I don't know. Anytime I go on one of these rescues, I'm like, never seen this before. Then I see something that tops it the next time. So, but I can't wait for you to see that rescue. That one's pretty interesting coming up. So, but now getting off snake bites, still talking about bites. One thing I work with a lot, you see the pictures behind me, alligators. A picture up there over my shoulder, right over here, is an alligator. And I took that photo. That was about an 8 or 9 foot alligator I had caught. It was a nuisance gator, and I caught it. And this is me releasing the gator. And as it was walking away, it stopped. I turned almost as if it was looking over its shoulder at me. I like to say it was telling me thank you. It was probably actually saying, come closer and I will kill you. So I snapped that picture of it. But I love alligators, and I love catching alligators and relocating alligators. I've got several alligators that I own that we use for education. The biggest alligator that I have right now, his name is Seminole. I've had him for, 18 years maybe. He's about 9 foot. And people ask me, have you been bitten by alligators? Yes, I have. And so the first alligator I ever got bit by was a little tiny hatchling, and it bit my finger, and it did not feel good. Even little, they have such jaw pressures, powerful jaw pressure. And the little gators, their teeth are so much sharper than the big gators. They need to be sharper because even though they have strong jaw pressure, it's not as powerful as the big gators. The big gators, their teeth are not nearly as sharp, which doesn't matter because their jaw pressure is so powerful. And one thing I hear all the time is, it's easy to shut a gator's mouth, but you can't open them up because the muscles are so strong. Well, that's kind of true, but not exactly. Like when I get on top of a big 10 or 11 foot alligator, it's not easy just to push his head down and close his mouth. I'm a big guy. Sometimes I have to put my forearm on that gator's snout and put my weight and really press down to get that gator's mouth closed. So They're powerful animals. So another gator I got bit by, I was measuring some of our gators and just doing a yearly measurement on them. And that entails, getting on the gator and stretching a tape measure on him. So I'm on top of this gator. And it's about a 6-foot alligator, not huge, but about 6 foot. And while I'm on top of it, I'm holding the gator by the neck and my hands are on the ground. I'm on top of him. And the gator, the snout is coming out like this. I've got him around the neck. And the gator all of a sudden twists and goes to jerk sideways. When he jerks sideways, my arms go this way. And the gator's snout is now here. And the whole side of the gator's jaw latches onto my forearm. You would think when you get bit by a gator, the first thing to do is to get your body part out of the gator's mouth. But that's actually the second thing you want to worry about. The first thing you do is you hold the gator's head still, because if the gator can then jerk his head, he can rip you open. So before worrying about getting my arm out, I just pressed the gator's head to the ground where it couldn't move it left or right. Then we had time to casually pry the gator's mouth open, pull my arm out, and I just had some slight puncture wounds. No stitches required, even from a 6-foot alligator. I was pretty lucky. Then I had another bite from an alligator. This happened north of Atlanta, where alligators are not supposed to be found. A 4-foot alligator showed up in a neighborhood pond, a small pond, only maybe an acre, pretty small pond. 4-foot alligator, a busy neighborhood, suburbs of North Atlanta. So, of course, it's got the attention of all the Atlanta news stations. So they're calling me, Jason, what day are you coming to catch the gator? We want to film it. I don't want a bunch of people there in case I get bit, okay? I don't want them filming it. I'll film it. I don't want them to. So I said, well, I'm going to go on Wednesday to catch the gator. They said, okay, we'll meet you there on Wednesday. So I went on Tuesday. And I get there, and there's one news station already there. I said, so one news station is better than 4 or 5 news stations. I said, okay, we'll try to catch it. Well, before I catch it, he's interviewing me, asking me, have you ever been bitten by an alligator? I said, yeah, I've had a few bites. And he said, does it hurt? No, not at all. Yes, it hurts. It's an alligator. So anyway, I catch the gator, and I'm using a big treble hook, and I throw the treble hook with the line over the gator. And I pull the line, and the hook comes back and snags the gator's tail. People say, does it hurt the gator? It doesn't gravely injure or maim the gator. I'm sure it doesn't feel good, but it's better than us killing him. So, I pull the gator in. And, think about these big hooks. They can easily fall out if you let tension loose in the line. So I pull the gator to the bank, and I go to grab him by the base of the tail. And he's small. He's only 4 foot. And I pick him up. When I pick him up, before I can get control of him, he swings around and latches onto my entire forearm right in front of the news camera. And he's wrenched around so much, he can't really shake and, thrash. So I just, there's a gator bite for you. So that one was live on an Atlanta news station. So that was fun. One more thing real quick. We got a lot of people in the chat right here. I don't know what that says. Something bird. I need glasses really bad, but I don't want to get them. I can't read this. Hey, Jason, it's Gage's dad. Hello, Gage. Hello, Gage's dad from the GON Blast. He was your 8-year-old helper on Saturday there. Well, good. If you want to come out and see one of my live shows, go to SnakesAreUsTV, click on the calendar. See where we're going to be. We actually just booked a show today in Atlanta for 2025 at Georgia World Congress Center. So that's going to be fun, a 4-day show we're doing there. Red Badger, worst reaction was an asp caterpillar. An EpiPen, oh man, you had to have an EpiPen. Yeah, so yeah, caterpillars, I've never been stung by a caterpillar. I hear they're really bad. I've been stung by a scorpion. It wasn't that bad. I guess it depends on which scorpion gets you though. So another bite that happened was, hang on, before I tell you that, because I want to get to the story of this really, really amazing bite that got me. But, one question I get all the time talking about bites is, Jason, in the comments all the time, why are you not wearing snake-proof boots? Why don't you wear snake-proof boots? It's more. Well, I'll tell you why I don't wear snake-proof boots. There's a few reasons. One reason, they're hot. Okay, they're hot. I don't want to wear them, and they're uncomfortable. You know, when you put on snake-proof boots, you're doing that because you expect to see a snake, right? So you go out there and you're expecting to see a snake. You got your boots on. You're looking for snakes. You don't see one. You go back. You get home. You peel the boots off. They're so hot. You go out in the backyard to relax and barbecue. That's when you get bit, when you're not expecting to see the snake, okay? Also, you know, snake-proof boots, in my opinion, at least the ones I've tried, are not snake-proof. They're snake-resistant. A lot of the companies that I've seen have started removing the word proof from the box. They can't stop selling them because they make too much money. They just put a big picture of a rattlesnake or something on it and call them snake boots. Are they good to have? Yeah, you should go buy some. But don't believe that they're snake-proof and that a snake can't bite through them, because it's not true. Snake bites in dogs. You know, I do snake aversion training for dogs. I train a lot of dogs. This weekend, I think we have over 50 dogs signed up just for this weekend for our snake aversion training, snakeschool.com. And we see a lot of dogs bitten by snakes, but the most memorable snake-bitten dog that I've ever encountered was not too far from my house. A guy was in his yard, in his front yard, and he saw his dog get bit by a snake. He saw it happen. He sees the snake. He sees it bite his dog. He don't want to kill the snake, but he does want to catch it and have me come relocate the snake or whatever. So he goes over, he pins it was a copperhead. He pins the copperhead behind the head, which I do not recommend. That's not how you do it, okay? Pins it behind the head, picks it up, and he's carrying the copperhead by the head over to the driveway from the edge of the woods. And it's a long copperhead, like a really long, like a 4-foot long copperhead, which is a big copperhead. And the tail is dangling at his leg, like slapping against his leg as he's carrying it. He gets to his driveway and he realizes he's not carrying a copperhead. He's carrying 2 copperheads. They were mating. The tails are locked up. One head's up here. The other one's dangling at his leg, okay? 2 copperheads. That video is actually on our YouTube channel. He did not get bit, luckily. He was so lucky he didn't get bit. Elizabeth Weaver wants to know, do you think the gator that was in North Atlanta was a released pet? Yes, that one was a released pet. I actually caught an alligator once out of Lake Lanier. That one was a released pet. Sometimes we'll get alligators going into North Georgia, and usually up the Chattahoochee River, the Flint River. Those gators typically are usually always 5 foot long and up. They're usually always males, because once gators become about 5 foot, that's when they're sexually mature, and the bigger bull gators in their area will kill them, so those smaller 5-foot gators have to leave and go somewhere else. So they go up, you know, different rivers and tributaries and creeks, and they get far north of where their natural range is, just trying to find somewhere else to go. And so, you know, the actual wild gators we encounter are usually 5 feet and up. If you find a little gator way out of this range, somebody put that there for sure. Okay, now I'm going to get into the worst bite I've ever had that almost killed me. But before I do that, I want to tell you probably the most unusual bite I've ever had. So my mom, my sister, and I went to Florida. What do you think? What do you think bit me? Okay, start thinking about what bit me in Florida. And we get on a boat that you pay to get on. It's like a tourist attraction. It's a double-decker ship, holds about 300 people, okay? And you pay, I don't remember, you pay a fee, and they take you out, you know, out in the ocean to an island, and you get off the island, you walk across the island, and it's just a deserted island, bunch of nice waves, really clean beach, you know, beautiful. But where the ship docks, if you don't cross the island, you just stay on this side, the bay side, the water's calm. There's no waves. There's marine life everywhere. So 300 people, my mom and sister included, cross the island, go to the beach. Not me. I stay on this side, walking way down the beach. And by beach, this is a 3-foot piece of sand. There's the water, 3 feet of sand, and then a bunch of bushes, okay? And so I'm walking down through here, And we're only on the island for maybe 2 hours, or I don't know how long it was. Maybe a couple of hours we're there. And as I'm walking, I'm thinking, I don't have a watch on. I don't know how long I've been on this island. I should probably head back because I don't want to miss the boat and be stuck on this island, right? So I start heading back. As I'm going back, a full-grown adult brown pelican jumps out of the bushes out of nowhere and like takes his beak and claps it and bites the back of my heels. And it didn't hurt. I was kind of amused by it. I thought it was kind of funny. This big goofy pelican just bit me. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it's a female. She's sitting on a nest or something here. I'm looking. I don't see anything. Doesn't mean it wasn't there. It mean I couldn't see it. And so, I admire the pelican for a minute as it's trying to actively attack me. So I back up and I walk away and leave the pelican going toward the boat. Well, then it runs up and bites me again. And I'm like, you stupid pelican, go, And this pelican is not going back to its nest or whatever it's wanting to keep me away from. I'm assuming it's a nest. I don't know. But I couldn't find a nest. So I keep walking further and further, and the pelican keeps coming, keeps following me, and just biting my heel. So I'm like, I picked the pelican. It's a full-grown, huge pelican. I picked the pelican up and just like toss him out into the ocean, thinking, okay, he'll land in the water and swim and go do what pelicans do. No, he comes out of the water, back to the beach, right at me, trying to bite me again. I'm like, I've never seen this. I've never heard of this, okay? Is this what pelicans do? I don't know. So I throw him out into the ocean again and again and again. And I'm still trying to get to the boat. He's following me way away from where I first found him. We're way down the beach by now. And all of a sudden I look and I see in the distance a man waving his arm at me. I later realized it's the captain of the boat. The ship has boarded. They've counted the people. They're missing one person, which is me. And they're running around asking, does anybody know, do y'all have a family member that's missing? My mom and sister don't claim me. They're like, oh, he ain't with us. We don't, it's just us two. They won't even claim me. So the pelican's still attacking me. So I don't know what to do. I pick the pelican up and I put him under my arm and I just hold his beak like this. and I walk to the ship. And when I walk to the ship, there's 300 people looking over the side at me coming onto the dock carrying a pelican. And there's a big sign, you can't take wildlife, marine life, hermit crabs and things. You can't take this from the island. So he's like, sir, you can't bring a pelican onto the boat. I'm like, sir, I don't want to bring a pelican onto the boat. He's been attacking me and following me, and I can't get rid of him. He says, sir, put the pelican down. I said, okay, watch. I put him down. He attacks me, comes up again. And I'm like, see? So I grabbed so then we're like, we have to get the pelican. So we grab the pelican, and we board the boat with the pelican, walk through the passengers to the other side of the boat, and have to toss the pelican out the window into the ocean. And he wasn't able to get back up there to get to me. And he swam off, then flew back to the island. So that was my pelican story. And one more thing real quick. I got bit by something else once, and I had gone to a nature center. Nature center called and said, hey, we got some snakes that we don't need. Can you take these snakes and you can keep them or find them homes or whatever? I said, sure. So we drive to this nature center, and my daughters are with me, Audrey and Lily. And at the time, they were really young, maybe 4, 5, 6 years old, something like that. They're really young. And we get the snakes, and the guy who gave us the snakes that works at the nature center, he said, listen, before you go, would your daughters want to come in the office? We've got 2 baby bear cubs. They're wearing diapers. And your daughters can bottle feed them. Would they want to do that? I said, no. I want my own bear to bottle feed. They can share a bear. Okay. So we go inside. I sit in this rocking chair in the office. My daughters are sitting in a chair, sharing a chair. They have a bear in their lap. They're fighting over the bottle. Who's going to feed it? And I've got my bear, and he's eating his bottle. He's just sucking it down. And my bear obviously finishes his bottle first because they're fighting over who's going to feed theirs. And when he gets done, the bear grabs my thumb and just starts sucking on my thumb. It was the cutest thing. And all of a sudden, he bit the crap out of my thumb. It's bleeding. I said, oh, the bear just bit me. He goes, yeah, they bite. What do you mean they bite? Girls, put the bear down. But feeling the power in the jaws of this bear that's wearing diapers and how bad it bit my thumb. I can't imagine getting bit by a full-grown bear. Okay, so let's see. Red badger, jellyfish. Yeah, I've never been stung by a jellyfish or a stingray. Yeah, that's a good guess as to what got me in Florida. But no, I've never been stung by a stingray all the times that I have been in the ocean. And Joey Patterson, hello Joey, says there are gators in northwest Alabama, Huntsville, and west. That's possible. I mean, you know, they especially the Chattahoochee River, they can go up and get in those little tributaries and get off different places. So I wouldn't doubt there's gators that end up in places they're not supposed to be sometimes. Okay, so here's my story, the thing that almost killed me. This was many, many years ago, way back before I had kids. Some friends of mine had ATVs. I like to say in the word ATV when I'm talking to other people, because when I say four-wheeler, I don't say four-wheeler, I say four-wheeler. And I think people don't know what I'm talking about, what a four-wheeler is, but it's a four-wheeler. I pronounce four-wheeler. So we're on these four-wheelers, and we can get in the creek. I know, you know, now that's illegal to do in Georgia because they've protected, you know, these waterways. You can't ride an ATV, an off-road vehicle, in a waterway, a creek. But this is before I knew any better and before it was illegal to do that. We would get in the creek in these four-wheelers, and we could ride about 9 miles down this creek before it just got too deep and we couldn't go any further. And as we're driving, I saw a soft-shell turtle. And, you know, I didn't see a lot of soft-shell turtles, you know, where I lived in. And so I was like, you know, I had a whole collection of turtles. I said, I would love to have soft-shell turtle to add to my collection of turtles. So I caught this turtle. He was only about this big. It wasn't very big. And I found a cardboard box on the side of the creek, and I strapped it to the rack of my four-wheeler, and I put the turtle in it. So we're just riding casually down the creek, and going 9 miles in water and sand takes hours to do that. It's a long way. So we finally get to the end where we have to turn around and come back 9 miles back. It's going to take 2 or 3 more hours to get back. And I look, and on the sandbar, I see this weird-looking frog sitting on the sandbar. I get closer and realize it's not a frog. It's the head of a soft-shell turtle. And I dig him up out of the sandbar, and he was absolutely massive. The biggest soft-shell turtle I've ever seen in person. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to keep this turtle, but I at least have to get a picture of it. Now, this is before cell phones. Cell phones didn't exist as far as I knew at this point, okay? So I'm like, okay, how am I going to get him back? He didn't fit in the box. How do I get this big turtle back? He's huge. So I kind of flip him on his back, and I'm holding the turtle like this. And I'm driving my four-wheeler, holding this turtle. And my friends, they're already tired of me dealing with these turtles. So they've already left. I'm with 3 other people. They've already way ahead of me. And we had installed car horns on our four-wheelers because we didn't have cell phones. So if something happened, we could blow our horn if we got stuck. You could hear a horn blowing. Oh, he must be stuck. Something happened. Go back and let's see what happened. So we had horns, thank God. So I'm driving with this turtle, and all of a sudden, I guess I'm not paying attention. Well, this turtle turns and somehow grabs my neck right here. My neck, right at my jugular vein, right there, grabs onto my neck and clamps down. His neck, his head's this big around, okay? And he clamps down on my throat, my jugular vein. I can just think, okay, if he rips my neck open, I'm dead. There's a canopy of trees all down this creek. We can't get life flight helicopter out here. There's no ambulance access. You have to walk or ride a four-wheeler, and that's going to take hours. I will be dead. So I'm holding this turtle like this. He's clamped onto my neck, and I start hitting the horn with my elbow to get my friends to come back. They come back. They're dying laughing because they think the turtle has got my collar of my shirt. So they think it's hilarious, right? And I'm like, no, it's got my neck. It's got my jugular vein, I think. It's got it right here. And you got to get this turtle off of me. And so we don't have any tools. We don't have anything. So my friend Anson gets the four-wheeler key. And if you've never seen a four-wheeler key, the metal part is this long. And he's trying to pry the turtle's mouth open. You can't do nothing with that. The more he touches the turtle, the madder it gets, and it's clamping down harder on my neck. I keep feeling for blood. I'm praying, Jesus, please don't let me die in this creek. I'm telling them, listen, if I die, don't tell anyone this is how I died. You have to come up with something else, something really cool as to how I died. You can't tell people that, yeah, turtle killed him, okay? I can't live. I can't live with that. Can't die with that legacy, okay? So we're trying to get it off. And, you know, I run a reptile rescue. I don't want to hurt reptiles. I don't want to do that. But I don't want to die. And so the only thing I can think of is the turtle or me. And I'm like, okay, they're like, you know, if you broke its neck, if you kill it, then you'll live. If you don't kill it and it rips your neck open, you're going to die. And I'm just trying to think, can I grab an animal and just crush him with my hand? I can't do that. I cannot do that. But I'm going to try. So I reach up and I'm like, and I just touch his neck and I'm like, I can't do it. But when I touched the turtle's neck, he jerked his neck and my neck back into his shell. Now it's really hurt. My neck is in the turtle shell in his mouth. And he's pulling hard. This has just now made everything completely, exponentially worse. And one of my friends, she's crying. She is crying tears. She's screaming because she knows she's about to watch me die. And I keep feeling for blood. Y'all see blood. And I mean, we're all freaking out. At least I am. Well, then I have an idea. It is, time of year is March. It's still kind of cold outside. The water's freezing. And I decide, tell them, take everything out of my pockets. As I'm holding this turtle, I said, take everything out of my pockets. And I'm going to lay down in the water. And I get down. The water is only about 18 inches, 2 feet deep. I get down. I lay down, my head underwater. The turtle's underwater. As soon as the turtle's underwater and I let the turtle go, he released my neck and swam off. I lived. I survived. And so we make it back. We make it back to the road. We load up our four-wheelers. We go home. And I'll never forget, this was on a Sunday. This was a Sunday afternoon. So Sunday evening, I'm like, you know what? I just almost died. I'm going to church. I'm not missing church. I'm going to church tonight. So I go to church. I sit in the very back of the church, and you can still see this huge mark on my neck. It's just blood red. It looks horrible right here on my neck. The pastor comes by, shaking people's hands. Nice to meet you. Glad you're here tonight. And he gets to me. Hey, Jason. I said, hey, pastor. What's on your neck? A turtle bit me. He said, yeah, right. I'm sure that's what's on your neck. I said, I swear it was a turtle. Anyway, he did not believe it was a turtle, but I swear to you, it was a turtle. So that was the worst bite I've ever been bit by. I've never been bit by a venomous snake. I hope to keep it that way. You know, when I'm handling these venomous snakes, doing this for so many years, my number one goal is to not get bit. And to do that, I'm constantly watching the body position of the snake, where its head is in relation to me, and to make sure I'm out of the snake strike range. And, you know, there's so many videos on YouTube I can go back and watch, and you can read the comments like, well, you had that snake, you know, just like the one, how to keep copperheads out of your yard. I'm holding this copperhead on a hook. And the angle of the camera, it looks like the copperhead is like staring me in the face and close enough to bite me. The copperhead was not even remotely close enough to bite me. But on camera, I can see how it kind of looks that way. But, you know, the one thing I've learned to do is not to put any part of my body close enough to a snake so if it tries to bite me, that it would be successful. As long as I stay out of the snake strike range, I'll never get bit. As long as you stay out of the snake strike range, you're not going to get bit. You know, snakes here in Georgia, the United States, they're not going to leave where they're at, come to you in order to bite you. Snakes often go toward people, but not to attack. Usually it's for a few reasons. One reason may be they perceive safety and they want to get around behind you somewhere else. Other times, you know, I see all the time, maybe you're casting a shadow like a stump. They want to hide next to your foot or something. Some of y'all shouldn't be shaped like stumps. This wouldn't happen. But these snakes are not aggressive. They're defensive. Okay? So the snakes are not going after, not chasing people, anything like that. So in the chat, we've got Living with Cable, Chris, Nadia is back, Nadia Brooke. She's in all of our chats. She is from the UK. Hello, Nadia. Welcome. And welcome everybody that's here in the chat. If you want to be in the live chat, go to our YouTube channel, SnakesAreUsTV, and we record this live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like I said, if you missed it, the next video I have coming out, speaking of bites, is a guy who gets bit by an exotic venomous snake. And it's not here in Georgia, it's in a different state. I had to go out of state and go to his house and remove the rest of his exotic venomous snakes. So that's the next video. I'm almost finished editing it. I was trying to get it up, posted tonight, didn't make it. So hopefully you guys have learned some lessons from my bites. I know that I've tried to learn lessons from my bites because, like I said, I've never been bitten by a venomous snake. I want to keep it that way. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Thank y'all so much for joining me. We're going to get ready to end it right here, but stay tuned. I'm going to try to have our next video about the bites on YouTube coming up maybe tomorrow. And then the next couple videos I have after that, I want so bad to get these things edited because I can't wait for you to see them. You know, sometimes we have those videos, you're like, man, I can't believe the call that we just got. And I have to call my friends and family and say, hey, this is the call I just got. Let me tell you what just happened. Well, I've got a few of those that have just happened, and I filmed them. And I can't wait to get these things edited to show them to you because they're pretty amazing. So thank you guys for joining me tonight. Come back and check us out. Like I said, go to our website, SnakesAreUs.com. Click on the calendar of events, find out where we're going to be. I'm going to be updating our 2025 calendar. We're already booking for fall of 2025. We're not even at the end of summer for 2024. So we're booking a lot of shows. So come see me live, our Venomous Snake comedy stage show that we do. It's a lot of fun. Thank you guys for coming. And I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you very much for joining me, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please consider leaving a 5-star review. That helps me so much in pushing this podcast out to even more people. I record every Thursday, so check back next week for a new episode of the Snakes R Us TV podcast.